Okay, so a very good morning to one and all present here. My name is Takshama Maheshwari and I'm from Legal File. So today we are gathered here for career legal and networking program. So as we all know that networking is an integral part of our lives and more specifically our career. So networking basically is a lifelong process and it happens every day, every minute, and there is no bar as to whom to connect with irrespective of the age or professional difference. So with this regard, today we have advocate Danesh Mehta, who is a civil and commercial lawyer based in Mumbai, India. He has done his BMS and LLB from Mumbai University and an LLM degree which is focused in entrepreneurship laws from Northwestern University. Over the years, he has gained work experience from various law firms in Mumbai and Chicago, along with judicial clerkship at the Supreme Court of India. Sir also has an expertise to advise new businesses as along with his litigation he has an experience in commercial law and business strategy. We welcome you sir. Thank you so much for sparing your precious time for this event. So in this event, sir will briefly explain us as to how much the networking is crucial and then informally we can have a chit chat and a discussion. We can also ask our personal questions regarding networking, and Sir will share his experiences and valuable suggestions. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Takshima. So now that you all know a little bit about me, I would like to know just a little bit about you. So if you all could just in about 10 seconds, just tell me your name and which year you all are studying in and the name of your college. Not more than 10 seconds. I'll just take out random names. I have first year Krati Rathi. I'm right.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Krati, and I'm a first year law student at Aligarh Muslim University. Thank you.
Thank you. Varalika.
Hi, sir. It's a pleasure to have you. And thank you for taking out your time. My name is Varalika Mendiratta, and I'm a student from Faculty of Law in USL.
Thank you. Damini, you're next.
Yes, sir. So I'm Damini. Hello, everyone. So I'm from Bennett University. I'm doing DLLB honors.
Isa Fahim.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Sir, my name is Isa Fahim, and I am from Bachelor's of Technology, Computer Science and Engineering, and I'm second year.
Okay, so we have non-law students also. All right. Himani Bey.
Hello, sir. Glad to be here. I'm a first year BLLB student from Amity University, Chhattisgarh.
Great, great. Muskan San.
Good morning, sir, and good morning, everyone. I'm Muskan Khanun, and I'm a second year law student from Amity Law School, Noida. And glad to have you here, sir.
Great, great. Nikhil.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Nikhil Misra, a second year BLLB honors student from Central University of South Bihar.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rizwan.
Hello, sir. Good morning. My name is Rizwan Zahid Ali Kazi. I am from Alliance University, BTech second year student.
Okay, so you're BTech students here. Okay, Sarthak.
Sir,
he's editor, so he's actually live streaming the event on YouTube, so he cannot unmute himself.
No problem. Upasana.
Good morning, sir. So, my name is Upasana and I'm studying at State University. I am pursuing DLLB honors.
Okay, great. So, have I left? Is there anyone left? I think that's all. Okay, great. So nice. I think there's students from all different years, including non-law students. So great. It's going to be an interesting session. I'm going to share my screen. There are just a few slides that I've prepared, which just to better explain to you how one should go about networking. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
It's visible.
Okay. Okay, fine. So let's begin. So I just want to take you all through the basics of networking. All right. Uh, Networking is a marathon, not a sprint. So one needs to understand that, when you go about meeting new people, it could be in a room, it could be in a college, it could be anywhere. You, of course, you want to know more about the person, and do not expect them and you to immediately get along, right? Do not go with the intention that, okay, this person can help me out in a particular way. It is a long drawn process. A lot depends on patience. So don't think that it's only a matter of few days where you can maybe get a client. It's only a matter of few days where you can achieve something from somebody else. This is a long drawn process. You need to be patient when it comes to networking. Second thing is trust. Trust extremely important in the service industry, and even more important as a lawyer. Let's take for example, you have a medical issue, and the first person you go to is your family doctor. Now, why do you go to the family doctor? Because you trust that person, you trust him or her with her work. You wouldn't immediately change your doctor. And something that's extremely similar to that is a lawyer, because you don't change your lawyer very often. A lawyer, someone you trust. A lawyer, someone who knows about sensitive information about you, and you really need to trust that person. So this trust is built over time. Trust can take days, it can take months, it can take years. But it's extremely important in not only the legal profession, but every profession. Third point that I usually tell a lot of law students and other lawyers also, that lawyers don't become lawyers' clients, non-lawyers do. So as a law student, it should be your intention to even go beyond your lawyer friends or law students. You should try and interact a lot with non-lawyers or non-law students, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who will come to you for legal advice. A lawyer himself will probably do his own research and understand how to go about his own legal issues. It is the non-lawyers that come to lawyers. So always remember that even though you're a law student, maybe in a law college or in a college that has other streams, it's always better to become friends with or network with people outside the LLB stream. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, why network? So it's quite a interesting question if you go to see, because at the end of the day, a lot depends on where you see yourself maybe 5 or 10 years down the line. Because you could think to yourself, okay, I want to join a law firm, and if I join a law firm, then I'll get my monthly salary. There is no pressure on me to get any clients. Why should I worry about it? Why should I network? But what really matters is, where do you see yourself in the long run? Do you see yourself one day as a partner to the firm? Do you see yourself one day as getting clients to the firm? If yes, then there is no better time to start than now. What's very important is people need to know you exist. Remember, there are 2 steps to getting a client. One is they need to know you exist. And the second is, after they know you exist, you try and pitch to them and you try and get them to get work done through you. So if they don't know that you even exist, there's no way they can come to you. Or even if someone who can refer some client to you, if they don't know who you are and what you do, they can never do so. So how do you make someone know you exist? There are many ways, right? As a law student, a lot of people write articles. A lot of people want to get their research papers published, but something even as simple as writing on LinkedIn, or continuously posting or regularly posting on LinkedIn, people at least know that, okay, Mr. X is a law student and this is what he does, or Mr. Y is a lawyer and this is what he does. Even though I might not need him at this point in time, you never know in future when you might need someone. So it's always good to go out there and say, hey, this is what I do and I exist. Then we see later if people come to you or not. But if you don't let people know that you exist, they'll never be able to come to you. Next point is getting out of your comfort zone. So you have many people who are introverts, extroverts. And of course, the introverts are people who don't like going to networking events. The extroverts love it. But the thing is now, especially with everything online, there's no need to go out. Networking now, since COVID also, has all been happening online. Everything happens sitting in your house or wherever you may be. You just keep your laptop or computer on and you can network. So you have to get out of that comfort zone that, oh, I don't think people need to know who I am. That, don't let that thought get to you. You get out of your comfort zone and you show people that this is what I do. As I mentioned, even the smallest of things, I'm again repeating, like regularly posting on LinkedIn, it can go a long way for you. Don't care about the likes. Don't think that, oh my god, no one's liked my post, oh I got only 3 likes. What matters is that people are still viewing it, and when people view it, they know that, okay, someone out there does this. The third point is being interesting versus being interested. So you need a balance of both when you network. What this means is that not only should I look like I'm someone interesting so that the other person wants to talk to me, but I should also show that I am interested in what someone else is doing. And there should be an equal balance. You don't want to be stuck with someone who's just talking about themselves. They might have quite a few nice stories to say, the past work they've done, but if they don't ask you any question in return, you might just think that, okay, they are not interested. Similarly, if someone just keeps asking you questions on what you do and they don't talk about themselves, you might think that he has nothing interesting to say about himself. So you need to keep a very good balance between these two. Whether you meet someone for the first time or you meet someone for the second or third time, you should always ask them what is the latest work they're doing, and also try and slip into the conversation of something that you have done recently. So that way the balance can be easily made. Okay, the power of giving. So this is another very interesting concept that you all can see online. It's also called the giver's gain philosophy. What does this concept mean? It basically says that if you give to, if let's say you give another person a client, in that case, without expecting anything in return, there is a very good chance that they will then one day give you a client. So how the giver's gain philosophy works is that you go out of your way and you help another person get what they want. So let's say if I enter a networking room and I meet, let's say, an architect, and I know that a friend of mine is renovating his house. Okay, so what I could do, I could tell that person who's an architect that, hey, I have a friend, he's doing up his house. Do you think he would be a good connect for you? Would you like to? And probably in all probability, the architect would be, yeah, why not? There's no harm in talking to someone who could be my potential client. So you didn't have to do anything much. You just connected the two. Now, whether that works out or not is not up to you. But what will, in that architect's mind, he'll be like, wow, this person went and gave me someone who could have been my client. And it's not like he's asking for anything in return. So he'll always have it at the back of his mind that, okay, if someone wants legal services or whatever services maybe, I know I can refer him because he had helped me in the past. In fact, this particular philosophy is also used by one of the largest networking organizations of a senior counsel. And if you have the opportunity to talk to him, you need to do your research on his background. Maybe he worked on a particular case which the laws really interested you. So you read up on that case. Then you're like, sir, you had argued this matter. Could you tell me, something more about this provision or that? So automatically they also feel happy that, okay, this person has done his research. He knows what he's talking about. I don't mind spending more time with him. So remember that doing this detective work actually does go a long way. I myself, when I go to networking events, and if I don't know the person, but I get to know their name, before I talk to them, I open my phone, I look them up, I read what they do, and then I formulate my questions or put it in conversation. If I know that maybe on their LinkedIn profile, they say they love a particular sport, or they say they love reading a particular author's book, and let's say I have read that book or I play that sport, I will somehow bring that up in conversation so that they feel automatically relatable. And that makes a certain impression in their mind how they can remember me. Because, whenever you meet someone, in all likelihood, they are also networking, right? Everyone's there to network. They will also prioritize who they want to talk to, who they do not want to talk to, who might be able to help them in future, who might not be able to help them in future. And over time, you will forget the people you have met. So how do you leave a lasting impression in a person's mind is to talk about certain topics that another person would not talk about. Like, as I mentioned, a sport or a book, or because these are things that people might not necessarily, because everyone will be talking about their work, or this is the sector I have worked in, these are the clients I have worked with. So you need to bring up something that is more memorable, or something that will have a lasting effect on them, on their memory. So if after 1 week you want to drop them an email and you have to say, hi, I met you at this event, you can even in brief also say, we spoke about this and you told me that you enjoy, let's say, swimming, and I also swim occasionally. So automatically, like, oh yeah, I had spoken about swimming with him, now I know who he is. So it's very important to read up on the person before meeting them. Okay, next, I'm only a student, will people want to network with me? Okay, this, of course, every student must be feeling this way, and trust me that this is the time to network. Okay, imagine if you were somebody else, would you want to network with yourself? Just think about it. If you go for a networking event, okay, as somebody else, and if you see you, would you want to network with yourself? So automatically, when you think of if their answer is no, I don't think I would network with myself, then you need to understand why. Why would you not network? Is there something missing from you? Is there something that is not interesting about you? If yes, can it be changed? Can you do something about it? So automatically, when you realize that, you will try to work towards it. And remember, you're a law student. No one is going to expect you to have fought cases or written some research paper published at Harvard or something. No one expects that from you. But little basic things here and there can make you sound interesting. So you need to understand what would you think sounds interesting, and that is what you would obviously talk about when you go to an event. Next, remember, from 100 seeds you plant, it is only one tree that can make all the difference. So what does this mean? You can go for multiple networking events and you can talk about, this is what I do. You can be a law student or a lawyer. This is what I do. And you keep telling person after person. You can tell 100 people, 200 people, and you might not get any callback or any work from it. But that one person who might just about be like, hey, I'm actually looking for a lawyer, or oh, I'm looking for a law student, or any other student for that matter, he might actually approach you. So don't go only for quality or only for quantity. You should try and network with everyone. Everyone is a potential client. Do not think that, oh, someone, he doesn't look like someone who can ever be my client, or he is someone who I don't see him help me anytime in the future. Don't think that way. You never know how someone can help you down the line. Maybe that person who you thought will never be your client, he might know someone who could be one of your biggest clients in the future. So never underestimate people you meet. Always treat them the way you would treat any potential client. This will go a long way. Last but not the least, your friends and family are your marketing team. So something that we underestimate, or we don't really pay a lot of attention to, is that if you just tell your family members or your friends that, hey, this is what I do, so can you please spread the word about me to your family or your friends? And you just never know where one of your friends might just call back and say, hey, I spoke to my aunt or my uncle that, my friend's a lawyer or he's a law student. And they're like, oh, they're looking for a lawyer, or they're looking for a law student for this particular firm I need. So this also goes a long way, and this is like, it's your marketing team, right? You don't need to pay these people. They are close to you. And you never know where these connections can build from that. So this is a broad summary on networking that I have prepared. And I am happy to hear any questions that y'all might have, or any other particular points. If y'all have questions on the presentation, y'all have questions outside the presentation or career related, I'm happy to hear them. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable opinion, valuable experience in those slides. They were very informative. So, mic is all yours, guys. You can unmute yourselves and you can ask the questions to sir, and you can personally interact with him as well.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. So I have a question. My name is Takshima. Sir, so this is a very genuine question that since all of us use LinkedIn to connect with each other or to increase our networking. So as a law student, what is the thing that I should post and what is the thing that I should not post? Like there will be some things that I should not post on LinkedIn so that people might think that I am praising a lot myself, because I've seen people, they post each and everything that they are doing in their lives. So what should we do regarding that?
So, yeah, a great question, Takshima. So, as a law student, I would say, see, you have to understand what is an achievement and what is not, right? Getting an award, getting a paper published, going for a moot court competition. It doesn't matter whether you win, but the way that you participated, all this is considered as an achievement. Put yourselves in the shoes of a non-law student or a non-lawyer, okay? And imagine them reading a law student's post or a lawyer's post, right? So they'll be like, okay, wow, this person has done a moot court, or wow, this person has researched. So don't think that you are not marketing to other lawyers or law students, you are marketing to non-lawyers and non-law students. So yes, definitely post achievements, post things that you do that you think a person will be like, okay, wow, I don't know much about legal, but look, I think she or he definitely does.
Okay, sir. Sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sir, firstly, thank you so much for presenting us with the presentation in such an amazing manner. It helped a lot. There were a couple of small points that all of us need to know. So anyway, sir, networking, according to me, is not only about connecting with people, our fellow mates of our age, and but also with experienced people. So, sir, sometimes I feel that how can I start with a conversation or strike up with a conversation with a professional, such as a lawyer or a
No,
CA, anybody else?
actually, Muskan, very, very important question, and I should have also mentioned it in my presentation. So, I myself get a lot of law students who write to me on LinkedIn, and just saying, "Oh, sir, I would like to talk," or "Sir, I'm looking for a job," and it's very important to maintain a certain etiquette when you message someone on LinkedIn. You cannot have grammatical errors. You cannot have long paragraphs, right? You cannot have open-ended questions. Hi, sir, how are you? Now, I don't feel obligated, or no one will feel obligated to reply. Okay, even if I do reply, okay, I'm fine, then again he will reply, then again I will reply. So that's just going to be a never-ending thing. So whenever you message someone you're looking to connect to, whether it's an email or whether it's on LinkedIn, I say that put it in point form. Who you are, what do you do, and why have you messaged? And this all should not be in more than 3 or 4 lines. Who you are, what do you do, and why you have messaged. You answer these 3 questions and automatically you will get a proper reply. But don't send long paragraphs, don't send CVs. I mean, this is not going to be very helpful to the person who is, receiving that kind of a message. So it's very important to maintain a certain kind of etiquette and certain kind of style when you're talking to someone who you need information or guidance from.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I'm having another question.
Yes.
I am very introvert, but not that serious kind of. But sometimes I feel very shy to start the conversation. So, any tips for me, like how I can overcome this?
Yeah. So, Upasana, I would suggest that you are talking, of course, at the time of the meeting. I don't know what to say, but you have already assumed that you have already entered a networking room or you have already set up the meeting. I think as an introvert, and of course, it takes time. No one is born an extrovert. I mean, not usually people are not born in, but you can change from an introvert to an extrovert. It's not a very long drawn process. It can just take a matter of practice. But the point is that what someone like you can do is start making a lot of posts. You don't have to conversationate with somebody else, right? It's all about putting pieces of information, and maybe they can reply to you in the comments or they can reply by email. then you might feel more comfortable simply replying in another comment. You don't have to necessarily face-to-face talk to the person. And even if you do, remember, it's in all probability the other person may also be an introvert. So you don't think that they are extroverts, so you don't have to feel uncomfortable about it. And many extroverts try to make it very comfortable for the introverts while talking. So don't let that stop you from setting up meetings or talking to other people.
Thank you, sir.
So I would request others to please unmute themselves and they can also ask and interact with sir.
Hello, sir. First of all, thank you for the wonderful presentation. It was very insightful. So I had a question regarding LinkedIn only. I haven't posted much. I have posted about my achievements and some general posts. So how should I start posting? Is it like I should start commenting on others' posts to interact with them, or I should start posting some general stuff or my daily life or my experiences?
Yeah. So I wouldn't suggest posting things about your daily life on LinkedIn. Yeah. But definitely, so Himani, there is no clear cut or straight jacket formula which you use on LinkedIn. As I said, the entire purpose of LinkedIn is to let people know you exist. Now, whether they know you exist by comments, whether they know you exist by posts, whether they know you exist by sending connection requests, it doesn't matter. What matters is that that you exist. So you can start off by comments, you can start off by posts. I think posts is better because you can put in your own thought processes, you can put in what you think, which others might appreciate more. It's not like a simple copy paste of of a judgment, or okay, this is just something that I can easily find somewhere else. What my suggestion is that on LinkedIn that I have seen work is to try and find something that sets you apart from everyone else. You have dozens of lawyers who will post something about a latest judgment. You will find dozens of lawyers who will talk about, or law students who will talk about a new section or a new enactment. And so there's so many posts on it, you're not going to really go through. So try and find certain topics or niches that people might actually be think that okay, his posts or her posts are slightly different, worth following. Otherwise you could just be categorized as one of those lawyers or law students who just update people about the law, which is not a bad thing, but it might not be the best thing to help people remember you by.
Got that, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Nikhil.
Thank you for this insightful session. So, as we know that right after your law school, you started your journey as a judicial clerk for Mr. Justice Rohitan Pali Nariman at Supreme Court of India. So, I would like to know about your journey as a judicial clerk and how did it help you in shaping your career as a civil and commercial lawyer?
So, the clerkship at the Supreme Court honestly was a great experience. It was an eye-opening experience. Reason being is that it's very in the Supreme Court you have matters all over the country. The thing is, right now someone may be from Maharashtra, Gujarat, wherever you may be from, and you just know about your state's laws and your local laws. But when you go to the Supreme Court, you understand there's so many states, so many statutes, so many laws. How can these judges be able to deliver judgments on all these laws? And then you begin to slowly understand that at the end of the day, law is law. It doesn't matter which country, which state you are from. It's just about how you interpret the law. A good lawyer knows how to interpret any law. So that's what my main experience taught me over there. Of course, it was this I did a couple of years back, the clerkship. It was really cool. You're coming out of the courtroom where there are these big heavyweights arguing the matter, and then you get your notification on the phone that Supreme Court said this, and you were in the courtroom when they actually said this. So it was quite a interesting and really nice experience, but definitely eye-opening. And coming to your second half of your question of how does that shape you as a commercial lawyer, I think that irrespective of whether you want to do corporate law, commercial law, criminal law, civil law, family law. I think what's important is to have a basic knowledge about litigation, because having that basic knowledge about litigation shapes you into a different way of thinking that you can apply in any other field of law. So that my advice would be that definitely garner some experience in litigation before getting into maybe any non-litigation field.
Thank you, sir. So my another question would be, after completing your master's from Chicago, you again joined Mulla Associates after 14 months once again.
Yes.
So this is not very common, not so common in Indian legal profession to join the same employer after once you have left the job. So was it any networking, and how did it help you?
So networking is a very, very important factor. In fact, when I was in Chicago, I immediately, in the first week of reaching there, I joined a networking organization that was not related to my college. And through that, I managed to get an opportunity to work with a lawyer in Chicago for a few months. And trust me, I had people from my batch who were applying, sending their CVs, and so was I. But most of them didn't get any jobs. It comes down to networking. Okay. And myself, I'm saying on personal experience, I, as a law student, as an intern, have got a client to the firm. So nothing stops you all from doing that. Okay. Nothing stops all. It's all about networking. And it was a friend who I converted into a client. So never underestimate who a client can be. It could be your friend, your school friend, your college friend, your neighbor. It could be anyone.
So what will be your suggestion for students to build and manage networking post-COVID time?
So I think, COVID has, of course, it's a bad situation out there, but looking at the glass half full, I think it's a great time for networking, because you imagine, you just put on your laptop, you open Zoom, Google Meet, WebEx, whatever you want, and you could talk with anyone from anywhere in the world, right? And I have done that myself. So this is all from experience. You can even join networking organizations. Okay, there are number, it's BNI, TICON, there are a number of networking organizations out there, and you can join them, and they have virtual sessions. So you just, and it's not those, pre-COVID was all about getting ready, like going out, going through traffic, meeting the person, going back to office, this, that. Now, as I said, you put on a shirt, you open your laptop, and you network, you shut your laptop, and you're still at home, and you can immediately start your work. So look at the glass half full. I think this is a great time for networking.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your insightful answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So is there anyone who still wants to ask any question? They can unmute themselves.
Can I go on? Okay, sorry.
Yes, please.
Was anyone speaking? You can go ahead if you want to. There's no issues. I can take a break.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for the session, sir. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I'm a first year law student, and I am just building up my networks and connections. And I hardly have few connections with people on LinkedIn. So I want some tips or some suggestions on how to approach organizations, as it is summer now, and most of the organizations are looking for summer interns. And all of us will be going for doing internships in different areas. So I really need some suggestions on that, because I'm stuck, like what to choose, what not to, where to approach, just on that. Thank you.
See, I don't think you are stuck at all, because, even though you're a first year law student, it doesn't matter whether you're a lawyer or law student, you can still go about and talk to anyone, Of course, no one is going to come to you and say, that I want to be your client, because you don't have the experience. But this is your time to actually make your network, make friends, make, build your own contact sphere with people. And remember, it's usually because when you converting a friend to a client is very easy, because the trust factor has already been built. So this is your time to go about, there are a lot of, if you simply go on Google and type out online networking events in Mumbai, Delhi, wherever you may be, it actually now doesn't matter where you are, it can be from anywhere in India also. You can just join it. And even though you are a law student and they might not come to you right now, if you just build a nice relationship and, like just as friends, maybe 6 years, 7 years later, they might come to you for legal work. So don't think that, oh my God, why will someone not talk to me? Why will they not listen to me? In fact, there are many people out there who are very encouraging with law students. So don't think that way. I think you're not stuck. I think it's great that you right now as a first year law student want to network. So that gives you an advantage over like maybe 5-year law students who have not networked.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, hi sir. This is Varalika. So firstly, thank you so much for taking out your time on a Sunday noon. And I think we all are really enjoying all your advice and learning from your experiences. So thank you so much for that. Moving ahead, I have a significant network on LinkedIn and I regularly post and everything whenever I find interesting. Not that I am obligated to, whenever I find I feel like I can, I only do that. But something that has been on my mind and it actually worries me, and for the first time I've gotten a chance to informally ask through a session to a person who already works. So I'm a person who actually is inclined towards corporate and commercial laws. So I normally intern with law firms. So what worries me sometimes is like while I'm interning, so I network with the people and connect with them on LinkedIn with my employers, right? My potential employers. So so whenever I post, I always have this super critical thing going in my head that whatever I'm going to post, maybe it should be legal. It should always be legal because again, I'll be judged like, okay, this person is interning with us and she is posting about something else, or she is not much into law in the sense. Though my work would show that, but again, LinkedIn is so much out there that I think it also gives the power for people to judge you. At the same time, recognition and judgment is going on hand in hand. So what would be your advice in that sense?
So in my view, point number one, it's your LinkedIn. You post whatever the hell you want to post, right? You don't have to get approval from someone else. If the organization that you work for is not okay with your LinkedIn post, it's up to you to decide whether you want to remain in that organization or not. Of course, no one is saying you post extremist views and maybe political views, because that's not the best of things to do, especially not on LinkedIn. But when you mean a non-legal post, I mean that's a very wide bracket of information, but I don't see a problem of posting a non-legal post. Like, why should it be an issue? In fact, a friend of mine told me the exact same thing. He's also in the legal field, and he's like, I stopped posting a lot on LinkedIn because my bosses are my connections on LinkedIn. So I'm like, okay, why don't you just block them? But of course, I don't think he would. But I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I think it's up to you what you post, because that's the person you are, right? Either you be who you are or you be what the organization wants you to be.
Perfect advice, sir. Thank you so much.
So is there anyone who still wants to ask any question?
I have a question.
Yes, please
So
go
I
ahead.
wanted to know some insights from your law school journey.
My law school journey. Any particular insights? Actually, my law school in Mumbai, it's not the best of things, but the attendance was not very strict, and I used all my 3 years of law school interning. So I was like a full-time intern, and looking again, it was great because by the end of my LLB degree, I knew as much as a normal lawyer would know. So my law school mainly went a lot into interning.
That's awesome, sir. So I had another question. Which books would you recommend to a law student or any student?
So I wouldn't. I'm not going to suggest any boring books on very intense legal related things, but one particular topic that I think everyone should read on is legal drafting. you think, or I think, or anyone may think that, okay, I am good at my English, so I am good at legal drafting. No, it does not work like that. You could be excellent in your English, but you could be very mediocre in your legal drafting. So I would strongly suggest, as a law student, even lawyers, whoever, read up books on legal drafting, because that is going to help you irrespective whether you join a law firm, you don't join a law firm, you join anything else. Legal drafting will help you. So my suggestion is to read books on legal drafting.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so now I also have a question, sir.
Yes.
Actually, we talked about LinkedIn and how to utilize LinkedIn, but on a different note, I think uh, still there are some professionals who are not using LinkedIn that much. So, talking about the other social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, right? So, what are your suggestions for a law student, particularly who wants to, expand his or her network? How can he utilize Facebook or Instagram for career and networking? Any specific advice for that?
See, the main difference, I would put Facebook and Instagram in one category and LinkedIn in a other category, simply because LinkedIn is a network for professionals and Facebook and Instagram is maybe a network for friends and advertisements, etc. Now, nothing stops a professional from putting up post on any of these three platforms, but I think the seriousness of the post goes away when you put it maybe on a Facebook or an Instagram. Now, I have seen Instagram influencers who are lawyers and they post stuff on law and they have a decent amount of following, actually, but I never felt the need of following them. Maybe that's my personal opinion. I would rather follow them on LinkedIn or somewhere else, because what is your mindset when you open an app? You open LinkedIn with the mindset of finding a connection, of understanding something new, finding a job. You open Facebook and Instagram to entertain yourself. Now, understand the psychology as to why people open these apps, and based on that, you will understand what you need to post.
Yes, sir. But sir, I have another question as well. Like networking is something, like cross networking is also very important. You need not to stick to your own profession, right? So you can,
Definitely not.
yeah.
As I mentioned, like you all should network with non-lawyers.
So, sir, any particular advice, like if I would just ask a particular advice for me, because I know a lot of people from other streams as well. Maybe they are from engineering or management. But, sir, how can I utilize that networking, uh, particularly talking about my career or my profession? Because being a law student, right now, the trend in the market is like you get internships in the company's legal department, right? So, how to start networking with those people and particularly asking them for the legal department in their company? So, is there any particular advice for the same?
So yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot comes down to the very definition of networking, right? If you create a networking platform, it obviously means someone wants something and someone might be able to give something. So when you enter networking with that intention, you automatically, that comfort zone is created, that hey, I know you're going to ask me and I know I'm going to ask you, so let's put it on the table and let's get over with it. Let's see how we can help each other. So that should not restrict you, like even when you set up, and that's how these networking organizations work. Actually, they tell people who are part of the organization that you tell us you're planning, who you want to connect to, who is your ask, and you tell us who is your give, like who is the person you are willing to refer to, for somebody else. So when you keep this very open, that automatically that awkwardness goes away. So I think so, Damini, since you've created this platform, that's another advice I would give, that you start this thing where someone can suggest a personal connection that can be of use for someone else, and at the same time you ask for someone else's personal connection, and everyone should do that.
Yes, sir. Sir, sorry, the last question.
No, sure.
Like sometimes what happen is, like that we have a law talk show as well. So like even I approached you on LinkedIn only.
Yes.
So sometimes what happens is when I start interacting with people or when I find someone very interesting, like who's very active on LinkedIn, I thought of like sending them a connection request. Okay, they accepted it. Then I thought of like texting them, but at the same time, I'm very nervous, like whether should I mail them or should I just text them on LinkedIn? But so when the situation comes that you're very confused whether to mail that person, like formally mail them with the brochures and all that, but at the same time you want to just text them on LinkedIn at least to know whether they are interested or not. So in those situations, what should I do? Because
So
that's very confusing sometimes.
So I would say LinkedIn is slightly less formal than sending an email because you have that option to text immediately. It's like a messaging app. So I would suggest maybe approaching someone through LinkedIn first and then later maybe approaching them formally, because when it comes to law students, there is a certain level of informality that comes into play. It's not like they're going to be talking with professionals as such. They're talking to people who are going to become professionals. So I think approaching them on LinkedIn is better. If they don't, and of course I'm sure you have experiences, if they don't reply on LinkedIn, maybe you must have already mailed them or vice versa. But I think mailing people, it always gets sometimes it gets lost in the inbox. And it's not that that person read it and doesn't want to reply. Sometimes it could just mean that they skipped it. And please understand that even when you all apply for jobs and internships, that does happen. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but sometimes emails just lie in the inbox and they don't get seen. So I think approaching someone on LinkedIn might be slightly better also.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So that was like all about. So any other who just want to ask a question?
Just the last thing that I would want to ask to sir. So that today we are in the lockdown period and we know that how to connect with people easily. We can keep the meetings like we used to do with other lawyers and with other people who we want to network with. But do you think that after everything becomes normal and we get back to the normal life, would we continue with this particular trend of meeting people on online platform and speaking and talking as we are doing right now? Or it would be more difficult for us later on?
See, one of the main rules of networking that actually makes a lot of difference is personal interaction, right? As humans, when you personally meet someone, your handshake, they sit in front of you, they're right there, you see them, their mannerisms, the way they talk, the way they walk, everything psychologically makes a difference. And that's what actually helps people connect. So that is missing right now. At the same time, even though this is missing, you are able to now openly video call people, openly set up Zoom, which was not heard of before as such. People are like, oh, who's going to like set up a video call? And now everyone knows it. It doesn't matter whether you're a professional or not. You could be a client also, and you will be using Zoom and everything. So it works both ways. I think that when the situation does become normal, if it ever does, I would think that not only would physical networkings take place, but video networkings would also continue.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the advices and answers that you've been giving.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So I think now we should wrap up the session. So sir, any concluding remarks from your side?
Um, Nothing in particular, but as I said, do not underestimate yourselves just because you all are law students or other students. This is a great time. In fact, the earlier you network, the bigger your connection will be when you are already a full-fledged lawyer. So remember that. And yeah, just go ahead and let people know that you exist. That's what's important.
Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your time with us. You actually accepted my invitation on a very short notice, and your advices, your PPTs, your slides were very amazing. We
Thank
actually got to know some technicalities of networking, particularly be in the field of when we are in a legal field. We know like it's very important to network with a lot of lawyers and professionals. So I would just ask other participants if they have some concluding remarks to say, they can unmute themselves and they can proceed.
So as I said earlier, that in your presentation you covered small points which in like our daily lives we we forget, जैसे like you said कि don't forget to smile, and you get very approachive. So it's very nice, because personally for me as well, when the other person is not smiling and everything, I feel that the person is arrogant. So I'll definitely make sure of everything you mentioned, and thank you so much for taking out your time.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
Sir, I would also like to add like one big takeaway from this session that I guess all of us has is your point of like, if you actually network and reach out to 100 people, only one would be of benefit to you. So that is, I guess, most of us don't understand, is we just try to reach out to 2-3 people and we are like, okay, we are done. No one is responding and we are not getting. I think it's all about learning and moving ahead with it, and try to network as much as possible. Maybe out of 30, 40, or maybe 101 will reply, and it's
Definitely.
all that matters.
Yes.
So that was a great takeaway. So thank you so much. It's like we all knew it, but you actually reminded us in the sense that we could actually apply that. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, I would like to add something. Like, first of all, I would like to say thank you that you took out your time and you joined us for this informal session. I believe that this session was excellent, and the points you told us, it made me stop somewhere in between to think that like about my networks, what kind of networks I am having right now, and how I can increase them in future. So the points you mentioned in your PPT were amazing. So in short, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So thank you so much, sir, for coming and sparing your time. We are very obliged to have you here.
Sure.
So thank you once again. So
Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much to Sarthak as well, who's the editor
Yes.
and the one who's actually live streaming the event from the last 1 hour. So thank you so much, Sarthak, as well. And sir, now we can stop live streaming the event, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So Sarthak, you can stop it, and like if someone wants to personally interact with sir, they can now ask them.
Definitely.
I had another question.
Yeah.
So, being a first year law student, I haven't gone to college. So, what are the skill set I should work on to be successful, maybe?
You mean to join a law firm?
Yes.
So, it's a very wide question, but I'll try and answer it in 2-3 points. I think one very basic rule that every intern or law student needs to understand is that a lawyer who you're working for does not expect you to know the law, but he or she expects you to know the facts. So whenever you get a brief or you're working on a matter, you need to know the facts of the matter. Read the brief thoroughly. No one is saying, okay, you know what this section says, what this act says, or whatever, but they will want you to know at least what is in basic English that is there in the brief. So that is one very important thing. Second point is, I would suggest do a little more than what you're told to do. Of course, if time permits, when you're told to do a research, try and cover something that even supports the research, takes it a step further. Never go back to your senior and say, I have not found anything on this point. That's a rule I try and tell my interns, because yes, it's likely that you will not find something, and that happens in very rare cases, because imagine for so many years that act or whatever must be there, there's bound to be some case about it. But don't go back saying that there is nothing. You can go back saying or showing something that's very similar or close to it, but don't come back, because when you say I have not found anything and you've taken 3 days, I do not know what you have done. You could have not done anything and come to me and said that, I have not found any. So try and get things related to the research, if not the answer itself.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, and I think, sir, I should tell them that you are coming up with another session on entrepreneurship law soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can certainly join that event as well, and they can ask as much as questions they want to.
So
And we look forward to more informal sessions with you.
Yeah, I'm happy to come for these sessions now.
Thank you so much, sir.
Just one question that I had, like the last one. So we were talking about the potential clients. So I am a freelancer and like I'm so into entrepreneurship. So I do that on LinkedIn as well. But something that I face is whenever I get like, especially when I talk about open-ended questions you mentioned. So I don't personally feel comfortable answering to a HLO or HI because with no context at all, especially on a platform like LinkedIn. What I do is like at least tell the context, because a person doesn't reply in just 1 minute normally on LinkedIn. They try to reply in bulk. So because obviously it's hard to always keep up on that. So if someone is written hi and I'm saying okay hello, then they will say, so it actually becomes a tedious process, and I don't think it actually goes anywhere. So talking about the potential clients, so when you were talking about don't judge anyone, so in that sense I was thinking, do I judge someone who just sends me hi or HLO or maybe how are you doing? So I want to ask that, is that a wrong approach or something I should actually go on with that as well?
See, it's to put it very simply, I would say yes, it is a wrong approach, but I would be lying if I say I myself don't do that by not replying, because it can get, because at least sometimes I get a bunch of messages, and if it's just a hi or a hello, like you're like, I'll skip it. I'd rather read
Yeah,
message and I
long message.
understand why the person has messaged me. As I mentioned, those 3 points to keep in mind. As long as you keep that in mind, that's worth replying to. Otherwise, you never know, because someone will just say hi and you might say hi back, and that'll be the end of the conversation because they might be too nervous to continue, or they might have nothing else to say. So I think that you could always look up the profile before replying if you think that maybe this is someone worth replying to. So I think it's very subjective.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So we shall wrap up the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us in today's session. Bye.
Thank
Have
you
a
so much, sir.
Thank you
Take
so much
care.
for organizing
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir.
it,
Thank you
guys.
for organizing it.
Thank you, everyone.